Hey guys, welcome to hopefully one of many fish tank rating videos. This is gonna be like a full form YouTube video, obviously. We do ratings on our Smushy Goldfish TikTok, and they're just short, just like one little comment, a number, ratings, and those are uploaded on our TikTok here at Smushy Goldfish. But I'm gonna do a little bit more of an in-depth one. But if you wanna be a part of the next rating video and you want your tank fully rated, with like an in-depth discussion, etc., um, make sure you comment on one of our TikTok videos and put like for YouTube. But for now, I'm gonna just be just rating the comments on our current videos. First off is a submission from Pay on TikTok, Peyton Lynn. Um, so we can see here, very nice tank, first of all. It looks like the stocking is just a single beta fish, which is good. I think this is either a 5 gallon or 2.5 gallon, which like I think it's a 5 gallon, which is like a decent amount of space for a beta. I think in nature they sometimes have even less space than this, so this is probably a pretty good tank sizing. If it was any other fish in here, I'd be a little skeptical, but I think this is a decent tank size for beta. So you can see a lot of like natural plant growth here. They have like some Elodia, they have the Pothos out here, and it looks like Amazon swords, Anubias, and a whole bunch of other plants, which is really great for betta fish because they love hiding. Looks like they also have a beta sling over here, if I'm not mistaken, like a good resting place for beta, which again, very good. And I can see a heater and what looks like to be a filter intake nozzle, which is all great stuff. So I'll give this tank overall, how about a 8.5 out of 10? Because really do like all the plans. I think maybe it could be a little bigger, and I think once it fully grows out, it'll just be like an ideal situation for a bit of fish. So yeah, great tank. Let's move on to the next one. I'm not sure if this was already rated, but this one really caught my attention, because of the giant, logs sticking out of here. But yeah, wow, this is an incredible tank. Let's start with the stocking. How about it looks like there are about 4 or 5. These look like cardinal tetras, and then some sort of is this a barb? I don't even know what that is. But it looks like overall pretty good stocking, a nice rimless tank. I'd say this is also maybe around 5 or 10 gallons, which is a decent size. And they do a good job hiding the filter and heater. It looks like they have some sort of spray bar here and like some airline tubing back here for a pump. They do a really good job hiding this. I do like the natural looking substrate. It's not completely flat across the bottom. This could also be because they have some sort of catfish in here or some sort of ground feeder that's been churning up the sand. But overall, a lot of great plants here. I see that very, very nice Java moss on attached like these giant hardscape pieces, which is really great. Yeah, and I see a lot of floating plants. Looks like Salvinia is here. Um, and I think that this has like a real good harmony to it. I would say it looks very natural in that the plants are kind of scattered about. There's not really like a frontal viewing place. Um, so I think overall I give this a 9 out of 10. I would say though, just in terms of tank aesthetics, maybe like making it a little bit neater. It does look very grown out, which is nice, but I think it's maybe a little bit hard to like view the fish, but overall looks very natural, very great. And this submission is from Eric J on TikTok. Photo's a little bit blurry. That's all right. Okay, so let's see here. This is definitely I'm seeing a lot of green, which I like. A lot of healthy plant growth. This looks like a very large tank as well, maybe a 20-gallon tall, possibly. Um, yeah, wow. So I really do like it looks like we have a little monstera here, some pothos, and then we have some giant Anubius here, that's very nice, and a massive, massive Amazon sword. That always love to see that, these things really do get to be, like, feet tall if you let them grow that big. Yeah, I really do like also the carpeting plants here. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but very nice little addition to the tank. I would say though that with all the plants, especially these Rotala, I'm not sure what those are. But with all these plants here, we are kind of blocking the hardscape a little bit, which isn't bad. Obviously, if you want a more natural looking tank, this is what you go for. Plants everywhere. Definitely very healthy for the fish and very nice for the fish, to be able to hide instead of being always in view. Um, but for that reason, I would say let's give this one a 8.8 out of 10. Overall, wonderful tank. And this submission is from Rodney Cox 1980. So thank you for your tank. All right, next up, we got a submission from Poisonous Illusion. And this is the tank. Wow. So a lot of stuff going on here. Again, another Tetra tank. Wow, everyone seems to have Tetras, and is that some sort of corridor back there? Maybe. Okay, so I'm seeing some things I like and some things I don't really like. So first off, it seems okay, these are definitely fake, and these are definitely fake. It looks like we have mostly fake plants, um, which is not necessarily like a bad thing, but it is kind of necessary in every tank, especially at this size. This is probably looking at it, maybe a 5 gallon tank. It is pretty necessary to have live plants in there, or to do a lot of water changes. I can see there's no like algae buildup. But given it's their first aquarium, maybe it hasn't been around long enough for that. Um, but I do like some of these plants, like these big leafy ones. Really can't tell if that's fake or not. But these feathery plants, I think honestly, you could probably do away with them once your real plants grow out more. I believe these and these are real plants. I can't exactly tell, but it looks like you do have a lot of good hiding spots. But the tank overall is a little artificial looking. Um, you know, not always a bad thing. But I would say, get some more plants, real plants in there, or just, let them grow out a little bit. Maybe ease out on these feathery things. And in terms of if this is actually, it looks like you do have multiple corridors in here, I think. Albino corridors. Maybe get them some sand just to play around with, because I think these pebbles can be like, a little bit of a choking hazard. And also, there's catfish. They like sifting around in sand. So you might want to think about that. But overall, I'd give this solid 7.5 out of 10. Just, get more real plants, maybe get a little bit of sand for your catfish to play around in. But overall, really good tank. Love to see it. Thank you, Poisonous Illusion, for the submission. All right, this submission comes from I'm Fishing for Nick. And so first off, really nice looking tank, but I see, it looks like 100 guppies almost in here, and this tank looks like it can't be more than 20 gallons. So, like, with the amount of plants in here, um, obviously, we're probably not gonna have any, like, bio load issues, but just, like, running into each other and stuff. I know, like, they are whatever schooling fish, so, like, it's not necessarily bad, and you know how they're live bearers, so they multiply really quickly. Um, but I would say, maybe sell some, or I don't know. I feel like just having this amount of fish, even though I'm sure the buyer load and the guppies don't really mind it, it just kind of takes away from the rest. Because the first thing you see when you see this isn't the beautiful plants and like the harmony. It's just boom guppies, like so many guppies. But with that aside, it is a really beautiful tank. I see there's a sort of bog like filter setup here. I believe, yeah, because these look like bog plants, and then you have normal, house plants sticking out of here. I can't even tell what kind those are. Maybe also pothos, but Yeah, and, in the back, we can even see through the guppies. It looks like there's a lot of is that Amazon sword? And then, some of these grassy plants down here. Ooh, and you have some snails in there. That's really nice. But yeah, overall, this tank is really beautiful. I would say, maybe cut down on some of the guppies, maybe put them in another tank, sell them to someone. Craigslist is really good for that. Yeah, as a fish breeder myself, I understand, you don't really want to like you want to keep as many fish as possible, but sometimes you just got to sell them, give them away, just to make room in your aquariums because nobody has infinite space. But overall, very beautiful tank. Crazy diverse plants, lots of fish, obviously, and a really nice looking bog up here. So I'd give you overall, how about a 9 out of 10? If we cleared out some of the guppies, it would be almost perfect. But yeah, thank you for the submission. All right. Here with the last submission from Brooke Heart emoji. Okay, so first thing I'm noticing in this tank is the color. So when I first clicked on this, I was like, oh, it's just a normal black water tank. But so far, I see some issues. I can only see one fish in here. Is that like some sort of shark? I can't tell if this up here is like a beta or something that would maybe make a little bit of sense. But clearly, I do believe that this is purposeful, as I have, the leaves in here for the tannins. Um, but overall, the water doesn't look. Yeah, who knows? But yeah, I would say maybe get some more sand. Um, but overall, a very interesting tank. I think it's always harder to do black water tanks just because, they don't have like that same just like blasting you with like green and like red appeal that some of like the more just like pure freshwater tanks have. But overall I really do like this tank. I appreciate catering to whatever fish you have's needs, assuming this actually does prefer an acidic environment. I would say though, the Nemo staring at you kind of throws me off a little bit. But overall, I give this, how about a 7.9 out of 10. I would say, see how the plants grow, see, maybe see to removing this creepy Nemo guy. um, but otherwise, yeah, overall pretty good tank. So I think that's gonna be the last submission for the day. Obviously, we have so many submissions. I don't know if we'll ever be able to get to all of them. But if you do want your tank uh rated on YouTube with a full in-depth explanation, um, then just comment on one of our TikTok posts, preferably the most recent one. um, Again, our TikTok is Smushy Goldfish. If you could comment on the most recent one, comment for YouTube so we don't accidentally put it in our TikTok ranking. And yeah, so if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give a thumbs up and subscribe. Also, make sure to follow us on Smushy Goldfish on TikTok. to submit your tanks, and if you have any comments or if you have any contestments that you'd like to make, just comment them down below. And if I miss your tank and you really want it rated next time, just comment your TikTok username or comment in our comments like, please rank us, etc. Because we're getting so many submissions and we just can't keep up with all of them. But yeah, so hope you enjoyed. And we'll see you in the next one.